everybody, this is Sherry with CPR, Craft, Pray, Repeat, and I'm here today with a 3x3 Christmas tag from Honeybunnies Treasures, and I'm going to use the Jelly Bean Soup set called Snow Globe for my project today. I get some full adhesive Post-it notes, and this really should be called another what not to do or how to fix your mistake videos, because oh my golly, it's just like, where was my brain? I don't know. I was going to try some no line coloring and then realized that with the way I wanted to do the background, that wouldn't work. So I switched to my Memtento Tuxedo black ink, which you can purchase at Honeybunnies Treasures, stamp my image out on the bottom. Now, since I had already stamped my image out with the Memento Summer Sky ink, I just go ahead and use that, cut it out, because that's just going to be my mask. So, not a big deal here, not a big whopper of a mistake, but, you know, just one of many. Honest to goodness, it's like, I don't know what happens to me sometimes. Oh my golly. So I go ahead and I slowed this down a little bit so that you could see when I cut. I don't move my scissors, I move my paper. You get a much smoother and better cut when you do that. You don't get the jagged, edges and things. So I just wanted to point that out. Whenever you're trying to cut, move your paper, not your scissors. Now I'm going to start by using some Distress ink, tumbled glass, and I realize I need to mask off the other side, which, why I decided to do this on the actual card base, I'll never know, because, heaven knows I make a mess, and I ended up getting blue ink all over the back of it. So I end up at the end trimming off the 3x3 piece and attaching it to another 3x3 card base. So now I'm moving in with my broken china, and I'm just trying to increase intensity each time I switch colors to the next blue. And then once I go over it once, then I go back over it just to make sure everything's blended good. And here is the Faded Jeans Distress ink that I'm using now. And I am using my favorite ink blending tool from Little Acres Creations, and I will put a link for that as well in the description box, along with all of the products that I use that you can purchase at Honeybunnies Treasures. And here I go in with my Chipped Sapphire Distress ink, and like I said, I'm just intensifying. I don't have all of the new oxide inks. I may have been able to get a deeper, color, or maybe I should have went in lightly with black soot to have gotten it a little deeper, because I can't seem to get that dark, rich color that other people are able to get. So I'm not doing something right. I'm just not sure what it is that I'm not doing right. So if that makes any sense to you, but eventually I will figure it out. Now here's where I'm going back through with everything that I already did, and I'm on the, I believe, Faded Jeans, and then I'll go back to Broken China and then Tumbled Glass. And so I'm just wanting to, one, darken it up, and two, make sure that I blended everything. It's blending really good right over top of that mask, and that was just a full sheet adhesive Post-it note. And I find those work great. So, I mean, you guys use whatever you want, but those are pretty inexpensive. And for all the bigger stamps they work really well. And just cleaning up my mess here, peeling off my Post-it notes, and I'm getting my, you can see I'm using my heat tool to dry this. Now, I'm not used to doing the background like this, and I wanted to emboss, so I'm going to check to see if it's dry, and you'll see not dry. Wipe that off, clean up that, start heating again. I didn't realize how much ink I actually had put on this piece of paper, and I ended up trying to dry it probably, I think, 3 or 4 total times before I actually got it to dry. So if you are doing any inking on your background, make sure it's dry before you put any embossing, you know, or your Versamark or whatever you're going to use, because if you don't, you're going to get your embossing powder definitely in places you do not want it. So this is, I think, my third time here finishing up, and I just had a little bit on that side, and I was thinking maybe the Post-it note was holding in some moisture, so I took it off and dried it, and that worked great. So now I'm just using my anti-static powder tool to put down some stuff, some powder on the paper so that it doesn't stick to anywhere but where I want it. So I'm using the Versamark ink, and I'm going to use my Recollections Fine Detail Ebony Embossing Powder for Santa. Now, I will show you here in a few minutes, I messed Santa up. And I'm so mad at myself. But I fixed it. And I will point that out to you. And there's another place I mess up, and I'll point it out and how I fixed it. It's just, oh my golly. I'm telling you, it's like sometimes I feel like crafting's out to get me. But I make it through. It's like, I will persevere. There's no way anything's going to stop me from my crafting. That's what keeps me sane. And that's, if you want to call this sane. So, you know, we'll leave that one up in the air for now. So I'm just putting my Snow Fine Detail Embossing Powder on. And I'm going to heat my snowflakes. And then I decide that I needed more snowflakes. So I go ahead and I switch out and get a couple smaller ones on there, put some more embossing, or put some more anti-static powder down, and I put in some more smaller snowflakes. Throw on my embossing powder, and you can see it's great. It's not sticking anywhere it's not supposed to. It's working just like it's, you know, like it should. And so I go and I heat them up. Well, I did not take into account that I was also reheating the black because I heated the snowmen up. And so I take my towel to wipe off any excess powder that I put on, and I wipe the shine right off of my Santa Claus. And I was like, ah! And I was like, I knew there was no way I could stamp it because the lines and things were really fine, that if I tried to stamp it again, I was not going to get it perfect. And I was like, what am I going to do? So I take my clear glaze pen and I go over every part of it. And you can't tell right here because it's not completely dry. But in the end, you'll be able to see that I was able to get it shiny again. Which, had I not been dumb and waited for it to cool, you know, like a normal person would, I wouldn't have had that problem. But seeing as how I did, I fixed it. So, or as my grandbaby says, I fix it, and I fix it. His Oma fixed it. And right now it's still the clear glaze is still drying, which is why you see a little bit of discoloration. But it actually went on very smooth. I was really, really happy. And I will put down all of the colors that I use on the screen. Now, this is such a small image that on most of the things I choose to do just 2 colors because there just wasn't enough room. And I'm having a problem. I don't know what it is. I've Googled, I've looked, I've cleaned, I've done everything it tells me to do. And my red markers are giving me a fit. And it's my red 24, my red 27, which are of course the markers I use here. And so I'm putting it on, doing my shadows, and then I go over it, and it'll be fine for a while, and then all of a sudden it'll get tacky and it'll grab. Which, you know, it didn't do that up until there. Right there it grabbed, and you can see there's a little blob of red that went right below the line. And of course, you know, I try to take my colorless blender and blend it out and push it up. All that did was lighten it and spread it around. never fear, there is always a way. And I had spent so much time inking and then fixing where I messed up the black that I wasn't stopping. There was just no way. There was going to be a way to fix this. If it killed me, I was going to figure it out. So I go ahead and I finish doing my copic coloring. And like I said, because it was such a small space, I only use like 2 colors for everything, which, you know, that's fine. You still get a cute blend. You still get a cute image. Here I'm just coloring in my carrot noses. And I'm putting in just a little shadow to ground the snowman with my C0, 1, and 3, and then my colorless blender to kind of just, you know, smooth it all out there. So now here I am. I'm trying to fix that blob. I take my white glaze pen and go over it. And I'm going to let that dry, and I'm using my Copic multi-liner to just re-go over the stems or the twigs on the snowmen to bring them back because they got a little faded from all the ink. Didn't work. So now I take a white acrylic paint pen and go over this, and finally I am able to fix that. And you honestly cannot tell, I was just shocked. Using my ATG tape here that you can get at Honeybunnies Treasures, and layering my card base right back onto a cardstock. Remember to practice your CPR, guys. Craft, pray, repeat. Merry Christmas!